Meditation and restorative. That's where we're at tonight. We'll begin seated just for a short bit, and then we'll get into a few restorative poses. I'm actually thinking of bookending this practice with meditative moments. So let's begin by arranging our bones in such a way that you can feel yourself being supported and held by the earth, letting yourself get heavy through your sits bones, and at the same time finding length and space starting to work its way into your spine. You don't have to be seated in Sukhasana, this easy pose, the way that I've arranged myself. You could be seated in some other way that feels supportive for your body tonight. And as you feel yourself settling, let those sweeping, sighing breaths start to move through. And really just welcoming yourself onto your mat, into your space, and allowing for this little cocoon of time that you've carved out for yourself to start to hug you in. And as your body, your heart, and mind continue to land, just notice how you're doing. Mentally, physically, energetically, where does this practice begin for you? Breathing into this very moment. Allowing for the events of your day to slowly begin to dissipate, become a memory. Can't do anything to change what's happened, but we can certainly breathe into this very moment. Let that be enough for now. Knowing that the intentions, the energy that we foster, we create in these mindful moments, then provides a bit of a springboard as to where we go with the remainder of this day. Rolling into tomorrow and the many tomorrows that come after that. I'll invite you to bring one hand to rest over the heart and allow the other one to come and rest over the belly. Just feel into this gesture of nourishment, of holding, of tenderness towards yourself. And the instruction is simple: to be with the sensation of breath in your body, to relish this moment of breath and connection. And let that be enough. This is home. This is ground. This tool of breath is with you always. And it doesn't need to be any more complicated than this. And as we start to round out this little meditative piece of practice, maintain this sense of sweetness and connection to your breath. And perhaps you come to offer a little bit of sounding, a little bit of vibration to just wrap up this little piece of our practice. And you can take on any sound that you wish. It could be an om, it could be a vowel sound, a, e, o, u, whatever you'd like. And maybe it's just a simple humming. We'll offer sounding through the course of 3 cycles of breath. On the exhale, we create vibration. And take a clearing, sweeping breath in and let it go. To whatever sound works for you. And allowing for that bit of vibration to be that place where you start to transition out of the inner awareness slightly, letting the hands come away from the body. And if you feel like taking on a bit of movement here before we come into our first little restorative pose, just let yourself move around. Maybe it's Sufi circles. Maybe you want to stretch into a cow cat. Maybe it's something else entirely. What do you need right now? And after these first little bursts of movement, letting the right ear drop off towards the right shoulder, left arm getting heavy. Maybe you tiptoe those fingers away from you, stretching out that left side just a little bit more. And while you're here, drawing a nice deep breath in through the nose. And as you come to let it go, sigh. All the way to emptiness. Pull that belly button in towards the spine. And let the inhale naturally flood. Drop your head towards the center, chin towards the chest. Invite that left ear to find its way over towards the left shoulder. Sensing into that for a moment, and maybe that right arm, fingertips tiptoe away from you. Beautiful deep breaths here. And we'll do that same sighing release before we move again. Deep inhale. Sound it away. All the way to the emptiness. Let the inhale reach to the lungs. Drop the chin towards the chest. And let's slowly come to lift the head. Give the shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then we'll move the body around. So gathering up your blanket, you may very well need it for this this take on deer pose. So I'm bending into my right knee. That shin is leading, and then the left leg is bent. It's hooking behind. You may take this closer together. You may choose to open this up a bit more. It really depends on your body. If your body's pulling you back into that right hip, you may want to take your blanket, wedge it underneath the sit bone to just level the pelvis so you're not fighting your body right off the get-go. And then the invitation here is to allow the body to begin to fold forward. And it's not about directing yourself over that right knee or towards the right foot. It's wherever your body naturally kind of falls into place. And then softening in here. So this is kind of a hybrid between yin and restorative. We're softening a yin pose to have more of a resting attitude towards it instead of deep stimulation of connective tissues and so on and so forth. It's not to say that you won't feel things while you're here, but they shouldn't be in that yin, potentially edgy phase of practice. Use that breath to keep you grounded, present, head hanging heavy with gravity if it feels okay. Trying to relax as many parts of your body as possible. And in doing so, you might need to adjust your position from time to time, so long as it doesn't become a fidgeting for the sake of fidgeting moment. Beautiful deep breaths, expanding and reaching in, around and through as you sink deeper and deeper in. Let's offer up 3 more breaths. Whenever your course of 3 breaths has run itself out, taking your time, respecting the fact that there will be a little bit of fragility, a little bit of a sluggish energy that could be moving through. And just take your time as you dismantle that version of deer. Let yourself stretch out. Find some way to be without disrupting the sensations too much. Little moments of stillness between the postures that invite stillness. And while the body is still integrating from that first little hybrid deer pose, we'll switch over to the other side. So now letting that left leg lead, right leg trailing behind. And again, padding up that left hip this time if you find yourself being pulled and fighting right from the get-go. Prop yourself up. Figure out what works for leg placement here, and then taking your time as you let those hips get heavy, legs get heavy, and you explore that possibility of folding and rounding and where that leads you on this side could be vastly different from what happened the first time through. So just recognizing that and working with what is here. Using that sweet and precious breath of yours to lead you into this place of surrender. Befriending any sensations that feel a little threatening, maybe a little off kilter. Let's see if you can send your breath into those places. It sounds odd, but when we lend our attention into areas that are struggling, there is an inevitable ease that starts to flow through. It might be momentary and fleeting, but the rest does come with time. Where can you soften in here without imposing expectations? Just breathe and allow, soften where you can. Find stillness here and there. And we'll come to offer 3 more breaths to this deer pose expression. Whenever those 3 breaths have gone through their cycles for you, taking your time as you come up and out. Again, respecting the fragility that might be present in your experience, letting things stretch and open. And before we come down onto our backs, just gathering up your blanket and either rolling or folding it so you've got an even little cushion or makeshift baby bolster to work with. So we're going to come into supported fish. And either the blanket goes sideways from rib cage to rib cage, just underneath the shoulder blades, or it's going to run up and down the length of your spine. I'm going to do my pose tonight with the blanket going sideways because I feel like that's what my body would prefer. So figuring out what works best for you, looking to get that little lift in the chest and letting those arms open out to the side. And if the low back is tender, you can always do this with feet to the floor, knees tipping in towards one another for a little bit of extra support in that tender low spine. Otherwise, maybe letting those legs come long. You could lift and lower your hips a few times just to invite that wave of softening and release to begin to move through. Perhaps you let your head roll side to side, just shaking things out a little bit until your head feels ready to settle into a still point. Draw a beautiful deep breath in as your body starts to settle and still. Let it go. Allow yourself to sink here, for your body to mold around your support, no matter how you've set it up. Find the ease. And if you need to adjust in the name of seeking more refuge and comfort from this posture, then please, please, please do so. And let the attention circle back to the breath, remembering your hands being placed on heart and belly. Maybe the resonance of that gentle touch is still very present with you. Maybe you feel like you actually want to place hands back on chest and belly. Breathing deeply. And letting this be all that you need to do. Letting this be all that you need to know for the next little piece of time. Breath, support, release. And as the sound of my voice starts to enter back into your field of awareness, the breath get longer and deeper. And before you shift, take one sweeping deep inhale, sigh it away. So depending on how you've got yourself set up, you'll either roll off to a side or slowly bring the heels underneath you to lift your body high enough to transfer your support underneath your sacrum, your hips. So if your support was running along the length of your spine, you're going to have to swing it so it goes hip to hip, rib to rib, sideways. And then setting it underneath your body so that you feel really well supported once you set the hips down. Coming into supported bridge. Feet can stay anchored to the earth. Or if you'd like, you could let those legs slide away from you if it doesn't feel overly invasive for your back in this moment. Allowing your awareness to just shuttle back and forth between the lingerings of supported fish and the present moment experience of supported bridge. Kind and curious, patient. And if your supported bridge happens to be an extended one presently, inviting your feet to find their way back underneath you, keeping the support in place. We'll offer 5 cycles of breath here before we shift. And to count those 5 breaths, you'll use tapping of thumb to fingers. So we start by bringing the thumb and the first finger together, feel that connection, and then cycle through a beautiful deep inhale and exhale. Switch the connection, thumb and middle finger. Thumb and ring finger. and thumb and baby finger. And for the final breath, inhaling and reaching the fingers open and wide. Exhaling, slowly curling the fingers in, making a loose fist, squeezing out all the breath. And then allow your hands to relax, maybe bringing the arms closer towards the body. And when you're ready, slowly peeling and lifting your hips up off your support and slowly lower the hips down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Dropping into that place of curiosity and sensation as the body lands after being held for so long. And from here, you'll come to roll yourself off to a side, find a fetal position, and just pause for a moment there. Cradling your body however you need to in this side lying position. Notice if there's reluctance to move. Maybe there's a yearning to come off your back. Notice the various little signals without judgment or stories. You'll come to invite your top hand to anchor to the floor, using as a support. Push yourself up and away little by little. Keep the head low for as long as you can. Gradually finding your way to sitting, letting your energy right itself. Maybe you try coming to sit back on the heels in Seiza for these last few moments of practice. If you feel you can tolerate being here for a few minutes, try that on. Sometimes it's just a matter of wedging something between the buttocks and the heels to alleviate the pressure. But if you know kneeling isn't in your wheelhouse in this moment, find another way to root down and then invite the lightness to shine brightly through your spine as you reach tall again. Breathe into this tender, very open sensory space. And come to be with that wave of breath. Almost like you've pulled back the blinders and there's this fresh look at how this precious energy moves in your system. You may choose to keep hands in lap. You may choose to bring hand to heart and belly again. What works for you right here, right now? Just this breath. And as we come to bring practice to a close, inviting the hands to join at the heart center. A gesture of the dedication we place to our practice, honoring all of the efforts, the courage, and the willingness it took to find our way to the mat, to breathe and move and honor stillness. Bringing the joined hands up towards the third eye, letting the thumbs connect there for a moment. Honor the place where you see the truth. Bring them down in front of mouth and throat as we honor the place where we speak the truth. And bring them back down in front of the heart as we honor the place where we always know the truth. Let's offer up a little more sound, the vibration of Om as we close this practice. Just one single time. Clearing breath in and letting it go. Finding sound. I thank you for your practice. Namaste.